Mindy Morgenstern was born on April 29, 1984, in Boggett, Columbia. She was adopted by Eunice and Larry Morgenstern, farmers from New Salem, North Dakota, USA, who already had a biological daughter named Rebecca. The couple had previously adopted a boy named Michael and, 10 years later, adopted April, also from Columbia. Upon learning that April had a younger sister, Mindy, they decided to adopt her as well, making her their fourth child and third adopted child. Growing up on the farm provided an ideal environment for Mindy. She relished horseback riding, playing basketball, and assisting her parents with farm chores, including driving a tractor. After completing high school, Mindy moved to Valley City, where she flourished in student life. Her outgoing and cheerful demeanor enabled her to quickly forge numerous friendships. Mindy was a committed student who effectively balanced her academic responsibilities with a part-time job as a waitress at a local restaurant. It appeared she was on the path to achieving her aspirations until her life took a tragic turn. On September 13, 2006, her friends and family became concerned when Mindy was uncharacteristically unresponsive to calls and messages. Worried about her well-being, her friends Tony and Danielle decided to visit her apartment. Upon arrival, they noticed her car parked in the lot, suggesting she was likely at home. Danielle remained in the car while Tony ascended to Mindy's second-floor apartment. Despite knocking on the door, he received no response. Tony received no response at the door and proceeded to enter the dimly lit apartment, where he was confronted with a harrowing sight. Upon switching on the light, he discovered Mindy's lifeless body, marked by injuries to her neck. Overwhelmed by shock, Tony rushed outside to inform Danielle, who was still waiting in the car. When Mindy's friends entered the apartment, they were met with a chilling scene. Mindy's neck bore knife wounds, and an empty bottle of cleaning agent lay nearby, its potent odor filling the air. Danielle promptly dialed 911 to report the grim discovery of her friend's body. While they awaited assistance, a neighbor from the same floor, alerted by the commotion, came to investigate. He approached Mindy, checked for a pulse, and sadly confirmed that she had passed away. Shortly thereafter, the police arrived at the scene. Upon entering, the detectives were immediately struck by the overwhelming scent of the cleaning agent. They found Mindy's body in the living room, with a belt wrapped around her neck and a broken knife embedded in it. The handle of the weapon was located beside her body. In an apparent attempt to eliminate evidence, the assailant had used a cleaning agent. However, forensic experts were still able to uncover vital evidence, including skin particles found beneath Mindy's left fingernails, suggesting she had fought back against her attacker. As investigators sought a motive, they quickly ruled out the possibility of a robbery, as Mindy's purse, phone, wallet, and cash remained untouched, and her jewelry was still intact. It appeared that the assailant's motives were not financially motivated, as evidenced by the presence of a basket of clean items nearby. The presence of laundry near Mindy's body indicated that she may have been attacked shortly after entering her apartment. Additionally, the absence of forced entry at the front door suggested that the assailant either knew Mindy or gained access shortly after her arrival. The following day, detectives conveyed the tragic news of Mindy's death to the Morgenstern family, which plunged her parents, brother, and sisters into deep sorrow. The family was left bewildered, as Mindy was well regarded by all and had no known adversaries. Her friends had no history of legal troubles. Mindy's friends, Tony and Danielle, informed investigators that they were not alone in the apartment at the time of the incident. A neighbor from the same floor had entered after hearing their screams and attempted to check Mindy's pulse, ultimately declaring her deceased. When questioned, the neighbor stated that he had used the back of his hand to avoid leaving fingerprints on Mindy's wrist. Regarding the scratches on his body, Robert Lind attributed them to work-related injuries, explaining that his job in steel often resulted in such marks. He reported being at work from 7:00 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. the day before. Investigators confirmed his alibi by contacting his employer, who corroborated Robert's work schedule and noted that scratches were a common occurrence in his line of work. Despite this, investigators remained doubtful and requested a DNA sample from Robert, which he willingly provided to assist in the investigation. The police sent the sample to the lab for comparison with DNA found under Mindy's fingernails. They also interviewed all of Mindy's friends, but no new leads emerged from these inquiries. In the course of the interviews, all participants asserted that Mindy had no conflicts with anyone. While awaiting the DNA results, investigators sought insights from Mindy's neighbors, including M.O. Gibbs, a corrections officer at Barnes County Jail, hoping his professional experience might uncover overlooked details. Gibbs reported serving in the Navy from 1990 to 1999 but was discharged following an assault conviction that led to a prison sentence. After his release, he encountered no further legal troubles. Previously a college security guard, Gibbs worked the night shift prior to Mindy's death. The following morning, as he prepared to move with his family, he detected a strong odor of cleaning agents but did not investigate, being preoccupied with packing. Gibbs had scratches on his hands, which he attributed to handling boxes. When asked about his visit to Mindy Morgenstern's apartment, he stated he had only been there once to assist her with a laundry basket. Investigators requested a DNA sample from Gibbs, which he willingly provided. After collecting the sample, the police released him and proceeded to interview Mindy's co-workers at the restaurant where she was employed, seeking insights about individuals who might have known her well. They learned that a frequent visitor named Ralph, who resided in a nearby trailer, made Mindy feel uncomfortable. The police decided to question Ralph, who denied any acquaintance with Mindy or conflicts with anyone at the restaurant. Although Ralph lacked a solid alibi, he did provide a DNA sample, which was sent to the lab for analysis along with other evidence. The detectives then shifted their focus to Mindy's case. Jordan Ram, Mindy's boyfriend, hailed from a local farming family, and the couple had been in a relationship for over a year. They first met at their church, where both were regular attendees. Jordan was known for his clean record and was well regarded within the community. He seemed genuinely devoted to Mindy, often inviting her to spend time with his family. However, Mindy's parents, Eunice and Larry, noted that Jordan occasionally arrived at their farm unannounced, requesting that Mindy accompany him. This behavior raised concerns about jealousy, although they did not believe he posed a threat to their daughter. The police requested Jordan to come in for questioning, to which he readily agreed. During the interview, he was fully cooperative and answered all questions truthfully, aiming to assist the investigators as much as possible. Jordan stated that he had seen Mindy the day prior to her death when they went shopping and visited a video rental store. On the day of her death, Mindy called him at 10:45 a.m., which was unusual since she typically contacted him around 10 times daily. After that call, she did not reach out again, nor did she respond to his attempts to contact her. Jordan informed the police of his activities at the time of Mindy's death, asserting that he was working on his family's farm. He consented to provide a DNA sample and undergo a polygraph test, however, the results were inconclusive due to his anxiety. Consequently, the police released him and sent his DNA sample to the lab while they continued to verify his alibi. Nonetheless, Jordan was not the only individual under scrutiny. In Mindy's life, a figure who raised suspicions was Kyle Kia, her former boyfriend. Although they had ended their relationship over a year prior to her death, peculiar circumstances emerged following their breakup. Kyle had been the love of Mindy's life, and their relationship lasted for 2.5 years. Mindy had envisioned a future with him, believing they would eventually marry. After their separation, Kyle relocated approximately an hour away from Valley City, which caused Mindy to worry that he might find a new partner, contributing to their split. According to Kyle, he ended the relationship to focus on his own life. Despite Mindy's attempts to rekindle their romance, Kyle had already begun seeing someone else and ceased communication with her about 7 months before her death. Mindy made an effort to visit Kyle's residence for a conversation, but he asked her to leave, and they had not spoken since that encounter. When questioned by investigators, Kyle expressed remorse for his treatment of Mindy. He also disclosed that Mindy had been in contact with his father, Rodney Kia, which he found unusual. Mindy's friends noted that Rodney would call her multiple times a day, sometimes just a few times a week. Kyle believed his father was overly attached to Mindy and had even requested that he cease communication with her. This situation caused distress for Rodney's wife, as he was married. Following Mindy's death, the police discovered a voicemail from Rodney on her phone, in which he expressed sorrow and cried. The authorities found the close bond between Rodney and Mindy to be suspicious and subsequently brought him in for questioning. Rodney acknowledged that his attachment to Mindy was peculiar, particularly since it had intensified when she began dating Kyle, as she reminded him of his younger wife. The conversation initially centered around Kyle, but soon expanded to various other subjects, with frequent text exchanges continuing even after his wife became aware of the situation. Mindy often took the initiative to reach out, sometimes messaging as many as 20 times a week. Rodney, who regarded Mindy as a daughter, was taken aback upon learning of her tragic demise. He left a heartfelt voicemail for the investigators, which, despite its sincerity, did not alleviate their suspicions. In fact, it raised concerns that he may have developed an obsessive fixation on her, despite his claims to the contrary. Rodney submitted his DNA to the authorities and provided an account of his whereabouts on the day of Mindy's death, asserting that he had been working on the farm with his two sons from 7:30 a.m. until evening. His family corroborated his alibi, leading to his release by the investigators. Meanwhile, the police forwarded his DNA sample to the laboratory for analysis against the skin particles discovered under Mindy's fingernails. Just as the investigation appeared to be at a standstill, a DNA analysis uncovered a link to a similar assault that had taken place in Fargo, 75 miles away, 2 years earlier. In that incident, a woman had been attacked and compelled to make contact with her assailant. The DNA from the Fargo case matched that found under Mindy's fingernails, indicating that the same individual was likely responsible for both offenses. The police assigned to Mindy's case met with the Fargo victim to obtain further details about her attacker. She recounted being drugged at a bar, waking up in an unfamiliar apartment, and narrowly escaping her assailant. She described him as a muscular African-American man, over 6 feet tall and weighing more than 200 pounds. The police had previously entered the assailant's DNA into the federal database. For 2 years, the case remained unresolved until a new connection emerged. After analyzing several DNA samples, the laboratory identified a match: 34-year-old Mo Gibbs, a corrections officer at the Barnes County Jail, who had voluntarily submitted his DNA. Detectives summoned Gibbs for questioning and placed him under surveillance to prevent any attempt to escape. During the interrogation at the police station, he consented to a polygraph test, but the results suggested he was being deceptive. Gibbs maintained his innocence regarding Mindy's death, remaining composed even after being informed of the DNA link. Nevertheless, the evidence was sufficient to arrest him and charge him with murder. Following Gibbs's arrest, 5 female inmates came forward, alleging that he had coerced them into sexual relations while on duty, leading to 6 additional charges against him. It was revealed that Gibbs had previously changed his name from Glendale Morgan Jr. and had a criminal history that included a drive-by shooting during his time in the Navy, resulting in over 5 years of imprisonment. Gibbs pleaded guilty to all charges except those concerning Mindy's death. His defense argued that his DNA was found under Mindy's fingernails because she had touched the same door handle as him. However, the prosecution contended that he had entered her apartment, forced her into a sexual encounter, and subsequently killed her when she resisted. The judge found the evidence against Gibbs to be compelling and sentenced him to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Additionally, he received sentences of 12 years for assault and 15 years for related offenses. Although Mindy's mother publicly forgave Gibbs, she emphasized that she would never forget the actions he took against her daughter. Gibbs is currently incarcerated at the North Dakota State Penitentiary.